Hello, everybody. So, welcome to today's class. So, we're discussing about talking about CSS, which is Cascading Style Sheets. So, if you haven't watched the previous videos about HTML, please kindly do so before we move to the next uh, next topic, which is JavaScript. And JavaScript is the most technical part of web development, so we need to grasp that very well. This CSS, I'm thinking we would have to go towards till next week because it's kind of a lot on CSS. But by the way, let's just start with CSS. Okay, so let's go to our folder. So I'm go to this. So week one. So instead of week one, we'll be having week two. Week two, or you could name it anything. You could just name it CSS. Doesn't mean I'm just keeping it like that. So I'm just open this up on my VS Code. Open with code. So here I'm going to create a new file, index, okay, trust. Open a new file, index.html. So let's say we want to like style a paragraph now. So let's do the normal thing, shift 1, the exclamation mark. Oh, what is this? Okay, so let's continue, okay. Later. So you can just hold Control spacebar to open this emet abbreviation and click enter. So it should open this up for you. Since you want to style, let's say H1 for example, and let's say style this H1. So let's open it in live server. So go live. So if you don't know how I came across this extension, I think in my second class I talked about how to get that extension. So you could just go back to watch that. So the extensions are here, and you can search for live server. So that will so no need for you to like save and reload. So once you save on your VS Code, it reloads there automatically. So I want to discuss about the three types of CSS. So we have three types of CSS. We have the inline style, the internal style CSS, and the external CSS style. So let's do the inline style first. I remember one time this is what I started with. Then I felt that inline was not really good. It messes up with code. I did internal. I saw that internal too was not that good. So I just ended up. Most people use this in external because it keeps your code clean. So inline is writing your CSS. Both inline and internal means writing your CSS in your HTML file. Let's look at inline. Let's say I want to style this H1 red. So let's write style. It gives this stuff. So I want to put colors. Color. Let's say red. So you open style, like style equals to, then let me write it again. So I want to give this thing a style. Open style equals to, then the string. Then what do you want to style it? Colors. Go the color, then colon. What kind of color? Red. So it's save and check. So you can see that it changed the text to red. So you could just be playing with it, and let's say, okay, let me change it to blue. So if you want to change to blue, you can just put blue. So it's even giving you the suggestion here, blue. And let's check it. Oh, let's save. Oh, it has worked. Change it to blue. So let's just talk about the changing of colors of text based of the style of CSS. So if you want to If you want to use internal CSS, so this is how you would write it. So we write it in the head tag. So before the ending of the head tag, we'll go inside. We have a style. There's a style element like this. So let's close it. So you can remove the style from this H1 now, since we want to use internal. For this now, you can just say, I want to have many things. You can be writing much bulky things. And you can have several H1s, P tags in an HTML. So it might look all clogged up. That's why they brought internal style CSS. So let's say we don't want to use this now. I want to use internal CSS. So let's clean this. So inside this internal, we have to reference. We have to reference what we are styling. So we want to style H1. Let's style H1. So you can just write H1 and the color. We want to give it a color of red. That's all. This is how to do it. We want to style H1. I want to give it this color of red. So let's see it. Can you see that it changed? But by the way, you can have several. So if I have another H1 now, let's say I have another H1 that says this is another thing. I have another one too. This is the third thing. So if I hit save, you would notice something. You would see that everything has the same color. So how can we do it that it should only be one thing that would have color? That's when IDs and class comes into play. So we could give this H1 a class of, what do you want to name it? It's just like you want to name it something. Let's just say heading. Let's say heading red. Let's say this one, class name of heading blue. Or, by the way, if you want to name, there are different types of naming. We could name like this. Or so you want to start a new word, you start with a capital letter, red, like this. So this one, blue. Let's say this one is green. Heading green. Like this. So if we want to style it here, you have to reference it by that class name. So this is how we're going to do it. So if it's a class, we start with a dot, like this, dot, heading red, open, and say color red. Then the next one, start with heading blue, color blue. The next one, so that's like this, heading gray, color green. So you notice that start with dot. So if you want to name a class, if you want to style a class in your style element, if it's a class, you start with dot. That's why I put dot first, then the name. I say what do I want to start with this name? Color red, this one color blue, this one color green. So if you could check Chrome, you see that everything would have changed. See? But it's not so. We could also give the same class names to everything for this one. Let's say we want to give everything heading red, this one to heading red. And let's see. See, everything has red. But let's say we want to use IDs. So if we want to use IDs now, So ID is for a particular element. You can't use the same ID for two different elements. So you see that this class name, I can use the same class name for three elements, these three H1s. So let's say that H1, H2, input H2, and the next one H3. Let it save and check. So it's still the same thing, right? But it's just that they're smaller. So ID is for an element. So you want to give this H1 an ID of head in red. Since I will be ID head in red. But this ID shouldn't be used for other elements. An ID is for an element. So if you use this in for other elements, it might work, it might not work, but it's just bad practice, and it's good. It's not more having that value of its name ID. So nobody can have your NIN, nobody can have your BVN. That is how nobody else should have. No element should have the same IDs. You get. So it's just the same thing. So you put ID of head in red. You should so the first one should only be red. Oh, we must have broken something. Oh, we didn't break anything. So this is what happened. So I said if we want us to name, if we want a name a you want to style a class, you would start with a dot, right? But if you want to style an ID, we start with hash. So let it just stick to your head. If you want to style a class, you start with a dot, and you want to style a an ID, you start with an hash. So let's just go down. Let me just rename this ID. It's another thing. Let's say heading red. Let me just start with ID. ID heading red. So I can just copy it here. So start with an hash, then color red. You see that? So let's check it again. So it's not as if let's just try it. Let's just give the second one an ID of the same thing and see if it's going to work. It also worked, but it is very it's bad practice to do. So no, it does devalues its value, its relevance. Just like anybody cannot have your ID, your driver license ID, your NIN, or your passport ID. So no element should have the same ID. So last but not the least, let's just in last one, the last one actually in writing our CSS is external style CSS. So let's just remove everything and look at how we're going to do the external CSS. So mm, let's just remove everything for now. Let's remove everything. So if we want to start our external CSS, you have to create a file, a CSS file in the same folder. So you just open your file. Go to style.css. So let's give a class to all of them. Let's say heading red, same thing. Heading blue, heading green. So, but if we do something here, let's say that okay, we want to style heading red and give it color red, you will notice something. Let us save and let's go back. You see that it didn't work at all. And why is that? That's because we haven't linked them together. So for us to like link our CSS to our HTML, we have to use the link tag. So inside still in our header or head tag, we have to create a link. Oh, it hasn't written it, but start with link, then rel, meaning is a style sheet. So you can just, so the more you write this, the more you know it. Then go back, then type. The type where you type is text slash CSS. This is just the usual stuff you write. Then the href, where is it? Where is it located? So you cannot hit Control space bar and see. So we are referencing our style.css. Then the self closing tag. So we want to link our CSS. We start with the link tag, rel style sheet. This one is just standard. The rel should be style sheet, type text style slash CSS. If it's a JavaScript, we would use text slash JavaScript. Then what are we linking? Where is it located? It's just located here. So we don't need to use dot or slash or anything. So since it's the same folder, we'll just put the name style.css like that. So let's check it and see. So you can see that it's links like that. So you can go ahead and style the next. So the another practice that the best practice to actually even be using the external CSS is, so if you want to start a class, you have to like copy the name so you won't make mistake. But any small mistake can end up being, it's not just work and be wondering why it's not working. Let's copy it to this. Okay, color blue. So let's check it. That's it. So you copy it, check it. But I'm using an extension. So you will see I did dots. It's bringing out the class names that are in my HTML. But do not, I don't know what extension is it. So maybe in the next class I'm going to look for it for you guys. But at the moment, the best practice is just to copy the class name. Copy it like this. Go here, paste it, and that is it. So this is how to like, this is the three types of CSS we can have, you can work with. So it depends on your personality that, okay, do you want to use inline, do you want to use internal, or do you want to use external. So it depends. Sometimes you can even make use of the three at the same time. It depends on the project we are trying to build. If you just let me just quickly do something, then put that inline, then just put that internal or external. So it just really depends on the project and depends on your personality. But but the most used one is the external, so that your HTML would be free. Imagine having like 1000 lines of code and you'd have so many CSS, inline CSS. So it's not only this, we can continue to have several ones. So I will discuss that after this. We can have another class name of maybe Edin Green, but that's just we are scattering. We can have Edin Green, but I think it will be Edin Green that it would later pick. You see, so we can have two class names. We can have several class names. So we have, imagine we have like 20 class names for each element. So it would be too much. Imagine HTML should be 1000. I'm like 20 class names. So it would be like the code will be ranging like 3000, and it might even not be readable for other developers. So it's not only you that is working in a file or in a project. So this thing is for it's how you can collaborate with other developers. So let's discuss about borders. So let's just remove this. Talk about border. So let's give this h1 border. Let's just leave the class as red. Class name as red. Or so there's something I would like to show you that I forgot in the HTML is comment. How you can comment. For example, if you want this code not to be readable, not to be seen at all, so you have to like comment. So if you want to like comment this, let's say I want to comment this h2. So I'll start with a left hand, then exclamation mark, then dash dash. Then I'll go to the other side and end it, close it. You see that it's green. So if I go to the page, it should reload and you won't see h2 in it. So you can see that no h2 is there. So that's how to comment. So let's say that okay, you want to use this in another day, or you want to like still use the elements another time, but you just want to like comment it for this time so that you can check what is going on. So you can just do that and it won't show at all in the page. So another shortcut for commenting is on this line. Let's want to comment this h3 too. So I'll click on the line. Now hold Control slash the forward slash, the one that I don't know, depending on your keyboard, the one that has question mark on my own keyboard. So Control forward slash. You see that? And if you want to uncomment, so you can just highlight everything and do the same thing. Control forward slash. Oh, it almost uncomment one. That's because I wrote this by myself. So let's do it again. So let me just clean this one. This one. So I want to just comment the two at the same time. I will highlight the two and press Control forward slash. That's how to write it. How to do it. So if you want to uncomment, I'll do the same thing. I highlight the two, then Control forward slash. So it's easy like that. So you don't need to like. But now I don't want to see H2 and H3 on my page. So this comment thing, it's in all programming languages. So if you want something not to be detectable at all, like it won't see it at all, just Control forward slash. That's it. That's on VS Code. I don't know on other platforms, but on VS Code, these are your comments. So let's check it. You see only H1. So let's say I want to give this H1 a border. So let's see it. This heading red. So I can just comment this one. The same thing too. You can just Control slash. I have to comment in CSS. So in the heading red, we want to give it a border. So start with border. Border. But what kind of border do you want to give it? So border style. So we have different border style. We have dash, dove, but I just want to use the normal one, solid. Let's check it. So can we see? This is border. This is border. But then let's say I want to even change the color. Let's not change color. So just a border color dash color. Let's say I'm changing to blue. Something off like that. So let's check it. See, it's having this blue border. Let's have to increase the width. Border width. So let's say I want to give it like 3 pixels. So this is another thing, sizes. So we have different types of sizes in CSS. So there is pixels, which is px. There is em. There is rem. So there's percentage, but they mostly use is pixels and rem. Mostly it's actually the pixels. and just take it like this. Take 1 pixel to the size of a dot. So when you can just picture it in your mind like that, the size of a dot, and you know that means 3 pixel will be like 3 times the size of the dot. So let me go and check it. It didn't really take effect to it. So let's just increase it to something like outrageous. Let's say 30 pixels. So see, it's too much. But that is it's too much. So let's just leave it as, let me just put 1 and check. So thin. So I'll just leave it as 3 so that we can check it very well. So that is it. But then this, this is just like three lines of things. So there's a shorthand for this. So we can also achieve all this with just a line. So this is how you're going to do it. Let me just comment this. This is how you're going to do it. Put the border. We start with the size first. 1 pixel. There's a dash. Is it solid? Start with solid. And what color? Blue. Instead of writing the border style, border color, border width, and stuff like that. So you could just write it in one line. Like that. Oh, let's make it 3 pixel. Let's make it 1 so that you can see how it is first. See how small it is. Let's make it 3. So it's gotten thicker a little bit. So let's just put another one. Let's say that we don't want solid and we want dash. Dashed. So you see this dash, 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 dash. So that's how you do it. But let me leave it as solid. So another one is border radius. So you would see some pages that they have this button that curves. So that thing is called border radius. So you just have border radius here. Let us give it, let's say 2 pixels. That means we want it to be curved like 2 pixels. Let's just see how it is. It didn't really show, so this side is supposed to show, but it didn't show that much. Let us give it like 5 pixels. Save. It's trying to get into form. It's getting to form. Get into form. So let us give it like 50, for example. See? That's worked. That is that on border radius. But then there's something I want to show you, which is margin and padding. So let's just save this as border. So you can just put it like this, borders. You know what I would do? So let's just leave this as color red here. Let's leave it as color red. So I'm going to create another class. So we can see that we can have more than one classes in the same element. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So we can just have another class. Let's just call it heading border. So copy it. Since it's a class, we start with a dot, then this. Then we give it this. So we are doing blue, and we have 3 pixels. So it should still work. See, it still work. Then we can now give it our border radius of 50 pixels. So it can be curved. Can we see that? So you can see that we can have more than one class name in an element. So what I want to go into is margin and padding. So most beginners doesn't really know the meaning of borders, margin and paddings. So they are kind of similar, but they work differently. So let me show you how that would work. So take this stuff for example, this border for example, this style. See between this blue line and your laptop, that is the margin. And between the blue line and the text, that's your padding. So the one outside is margin, while the one inside is padding. But you see that this inside, there is no padding. Everything is, it's as if the S is entering the border. So that's just the difference. Difference is the one outside and the one inside. So for example, if I want to style, okay, this left should have more space. So I can just put a margin left. So there's margin left, there's margin top, there's margin right, and there's margin bottom, as well of padding left, padding top, padding right, and padding bottom. For example, let's say I want to give this margin left so that it could go far from the window size. So let's have another class name. So by the way, if you are writing to like take notes, so let's say that this one is for borders. The next one I'm going to write is margin and padding. So you can just say heading space. So for both margin and padding. So let's copy it. So you can just remove this one since we don't need it again. I don't need this ones again. I'll show you what it can do. The next one is margin and padding. Dot the what we copied. So you can give this margin. So if it's a new word, you put a dash margin left. Let's give it like 20 pixels. And let's see. So you can see that there's more space on the left hand side than the right. So let's give it 40 so that we can see it very well. See? More space than the right. So we can also give the right to that same margin right. 40 pixels. Let's check it. So you can see that there's more space in the right and there's more space in the left. So you can also give it margin top 40. See, there's more space at the top. So you can also give it bottom margin bottom of 42. But it won't really show because there are many space, there's unlimited space at the bottom. So you can't see it. Well, I will show you something that it can enable you to view. So you can see that that you can't see anything, but there's space but at the bottom you can't see it. But there's a space. But because everything is white, we can't see the space at the bottom. Just like if you use padding now, let's just get into padding and see. So we have done the outside part, and that is what they call margin. So let's go into the inner cut and put padding into this. Let us do the left hand side too. So you can do padding. So by the way, before I go into that, so we can also do We can also do the shorthand. Since everything is having 40, 40, 40, 40, you can just do margin of 40 pixels. So that would arrange everything instead of having this four all together. See, it's still the same thing. So instead of having the whole four together, like it reduces the space and it increases clarity. So that another way you can write it too. So there are two ways you can write it. So this means for all sides, let it be 40 pixels. So you can do for both x-axis and y-axis. But the first one is the x-axis. So you can do this like this. You can say that you want the y-axis. This is x-axis. We can say we want the y-axis. So the x-axis will be the top and bottom, while the y-axis will be the left and right. So you can say that left and right, let it be 80 pixels. So you will see that there is more space. This is 80. There's more space here than the top. There's more space than the top. That means this left and this right has 80, while the top and the bottom has 40 pixels. But by the way, let's just leave it at 40 all around. And let's check it. Yeah, it's now the same all around. So for the padding, let's go into padding. Let's do padding left for the start. Let's just put it as 40 pixels too. See, you can see that there is now space. There's no more inside the border left. So let's go into padding top too. Padding top. Let's give it 40 pixels also. See, there's now more space in the top inside the border. Let's give padding bottom too of 40 pixels. Right, see, more like in the center. But then let's give padding right as well. Oh, I made mistake. Instead of padding bottom, I put padding. My bad. Padding bottom. Let's just check it. Okay, we're still on track. Then padding right. Also 40 pixels. But we would say that this right is not, we can't see it. We can't see the padding at the right because there's too much space. But I will show you something that we're able to do that. But before that, let's just put everything into one. Put it like 40 pixels. Let's check it. So for us to like see the margin, so we could open our inspect element. So inspect element, let's inspect element is like a developer friend. So for you to inspect, so what browser has this inspect functionality? For you to open it, you have to right click, scroll down to inspect. So let me just put it down. By the way, an header takes the whole space. So an header takes the whole space, so it takes the whole width. So from like this, from the whole place to here, it's an header. So let's look at it. Oh, sorry about that. So you can see that this is our H1, the old stuff that we wrote in our HTML, the heading red, heading border, heading space. And we can also see our CSS at the right, heading space, heading border, heading red, and how we style them. So we can just off one. If you off it, not if you see that everything is closed. So by the way, let me show you how this works, how margin works. I told you that margin works at outside. So you can see that this orange is outside the border. It's outside the border. and this padding is green, is inside the border. So that's how we can know. So you can see that this heading, it takes the whole width. It takes the whole width to that green. So that's how we can know padding, margin, and look at how much space is this thing taking. So if you go down, you can see that if you go to the H1 element itself, you can see everything combined. You can see this orange is the whole margin, the green is the padding, while the blue is the size of the element itself. So we could just go there and so we can just change it to like maybe p tag. I think p tag also takes the whole width also, but let's check. Okay, okay, let me refresh. Ah, it's smaller, but then the p tag also takes the whole width. But let me check for span. Span just brings it out as it is. Span. Let me refresh. Ah, span is, look at how span is. Span is actually, but then we can see the orange at the left and right, but then we can't see the margin at the top. Very, very funny. Can't see the margin at the top. But we use this, we use span at a rare on special cases, on very special cases. But by the way, so when we'll be building, we'll be talking about those things. So I can't possibly just discuss all the tags that we have or all the CSS that we have. No, I can't just say everything. That will prolong the tutorial, and sometimes you cannot get tired of it and postponing things. That's why I'm keeping simple until I actually do the project itself. So maybe this week or next week. I'm thinking next week we'll do a capstone project of HTML and CSS. We'll build a whole site itself. So we'll be on the live class and we'll build it together. So what else do I want to discuss with you? So that is all. So the next class we'll discuss about margin. So how we can place nav bars. So let me just open a page. So you can see that there's a text here, there's a search bar here, and there's another thing here. So all stuff here. But you can see that there's a space here and there's a space here. So we'll talk about flex box, we'll talk about grid, as a more technical part of CSS. Today I'm thinking about the most used stuff that we use on a day-to-day basis on HTML and CSS. So I want to talk about everything so that you won't just use it. You're not using it and we talk about it, but use the most widely used things. So it now depends on the project. Let's say that you are doing a project that needs slides or needs something like advanced, then you can search for it. Okay, CSS slides. Bam, you see it. These are to make it. Bam, 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 bam. Or look at W3 schools, how to do it and how to do that. So, but then you have to get the most basics, like the basics side of things, the basic sides of things, and in doing the complex stuff, it just becomes easy. See, the number one job of programmer is just searching and searching. We don't know it at all. We don't know it all. We don't know everything. It's just that we just do some things very often. So it just becomes like we are used to it, or we are gurus. So number one thing for programmer is searching, researching, and all of that. So we'll see how we're going to structure Nava, how to structure things. So maybe next week we'll discuss about, look at this stuff. It's overing. See, it's changing the background color. So in the next class, we'll talk about background colors and some details about some things. But with that being said, I don't want this video to be long. That being said, that is all. No, before that, let's push our code. No, I'm not push the code. So let me just push the code. I'm not in my. So let me go into my folder. Let me open folder. My folder that comes. Okay, yes. I'm going to this web dev begin. Select it. So you can see our week 1 and week 2. So I'm going to open terminal. As we did the last time, git add space dot, then git commit dash m, then what commit message. Week 2 CSS intro. Enter, then git push. Then let's check our GitHub if it's there. So you see it now, updated now. You see the new week 2. So this is it. And you can also follow me on GitHub. So this is my username, Diamond Ade. That was like what I was using back way. It's been long, sha. I wish I could change it, but if I change it, it will change some things on some things I have set, change some things that maybe I've given my profile to one company to check. So they won't be able to see it. So Diamond with double N, then Ade. So with that, we come to the end of today's class. So the class should be up by 7 o'clock. So bye for now.